Bang! Neves Knives. I'm Jared, and this is great hollow ground knives. Now, what is a hollow grind? So, there's flat ground blades and hollow ground blades. There's also convex, and there's lots of different types of grinds. But a flat grind is basically like this, where the sides of the grind are straight or flat. A hollow swoops in. So, it winds up making it where behind the edge, if this is the tip of the edge, it's basically the same thickness partially up the blade before it starts to get thicker. And then this would be like a full flat grind. And then this would be basically like a full hollow, kind of like a straight razor. So this is the SPYDERCO YOJUMBO. And if you notice, you see this has a hollow ground blade. Very thin behind the edge. You can actually see how thin that thing gets. It gets extremely thin behind the edge. But right here is all flat. But starting right here at this line, it swoops in kind of like I showed right here. And it makes it where when you're sharpening it, it's not going to get thicker as you sharpen it. And it also can make it extremely slicey. Now, there are robust hollow ground blades, just like there are robust flat ground blades. But in a lot of cases, hollow grinds can be a lot better slicers, yet not as tough as some flat grinds. But geometry matters, so there are lots of cases where flat grinds are even far slicier. It just depends. Geometry matters. So this is a large knife, and it does have the compression lock. It is an S30V steel, and it is a beast. Let's get to the next one. The next one is the MEDFORD Slim MIDI. Beautiful hollow ground blade. We have titanium frame lock with the falling leaf pattern and flame anode clip. S35VN blade steel. Beautiful satin finish. And it also, I'm really liking this new stone washing that MEDFORD's doing. It looks really good. It's like a polished and then stone washed finish. Next, we have the CIVIVI HADROS. So this is a new Dylan Mallory design. We have micarta scales, and this micarta is a little different than what they have been using recently. But anyways, we have a Wharncliffe hollow ground blade, nice and thin behind the edge. Very sleek knife. It is only thumb stud action. Very smooth on ceramic bearings. Let's get to the next one. This is possibly the smoothest knife in 2021. The Kizer LAN. Now, let me just say, this is the only dual grind I will show in this video. I left those out. So this has a hollow here and a flat grind here. I probably shouldn't have put this one on here because I was trying to go with all, regular hollow grinds. I just recently did a video of a dual hollow grind instead of it being a hollow and a flat. I might as well just show you guys really quick. So I just posted the video for the CHUBBY Darkness, which has two hollows. So this is a hollow here and here. Most dual grinds, you can go watch the review on this. Most dual grinds are actually flat grinds up here and then hollow here, like this one. They also have a Tonto version of the Kizer LAN. The action on this is just incredibly smooth. You can also reverse flick off of the little fuller they give you. It is an N690 steel, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. Frag pattern micarta. Really nice in the hand. It has a deep carry clip that is adjustable and reversible. So you see how it has 3 holes? You can actually move the clip up and down to position it to deeper or not so deep. Great slicer. Incredibly smooth action. Next, if you are in a place that you can't have locking knives, this is possibly one of the most or one of the best full-size slip joint knives, non-locking knives. This is the CIVIVI Trailblazer. Man, this thing is comfortable in the hand. Very, very slim, nice and a good size. It's pretty robust for a non-locking knife. The back spring is really strong, but you know, that's good because you want it to be very solid when you open it. It does give you a nice choil, and it is a beautiful hollow ground drop point blade. I love this blade shape. You can see how neutral the grip is on this thing. So if you're cutting straps or doing push cuts, it's very nice. I would love to see this knife in a locking version. This is the CIVIVI Trailblazer. Next, the SCHRADE Old Timer. This is a USA made SCHRADE Old Timer. I think it's in 420 HC steel. I'm not 100%. Does it say? I don't think it says, but this is a very old one. This one was probably made in the 80s, I would guess, possibly early 90s. I think I actually have the paper. I think it's for, let's see here, 91. At least that's what this one says. I'm not positive, but I do have the leather sheath for it. But they still make these. Great knife, back lock. It's very similar to the Buck 110. Beautiful clip point hollow ground blade. They do a good job on the heat treat on these, even on the, you know, especially on the Buck 110s with the Boss heat treat. But very, very cool. Nice neutral grips. It's nice and thick in the hand. It is pretty heavy because of the brass bolsters. And yeah, great knife. Next. Now this one is discontinued. I probably shouldn't have pulled it up, but we have the SPYDERCO CHUBBY. So these are really hard to get. I think it's so awesome. It is very chunky, hence the name the Chubby, but it has a ridiculously thin hollow grind. I don't know if this will come up good, but this thing is super thin. Mega thin behind the edge. Very unique drop point blade. All belly for days for your roll cuts. It is a titanium frame lock knife. Titanium spring clip. It is on washers. Oh yeah, and it has little carbon fiber inlays. But I'm not good left-handed. Pretty cool though. Pretty awesome. And it is numbered S30V steel. These things are pretty sought after because they're just, you know, they discontinued them and they're hard to find. One of my favorite hollow grinds, the SPYDERCO GAYLE Bradley, or should I say one of my favorite user knives. Now, I have a lot of favorite user knives, but this thing is just a beast. It's so good. M4 steel, and it is by GAYLE Bradley. Now, M4 steel is an extremely tough steel. It holds a really good edge for a long time. It is corrosion, it is corrosive, so you do have to be careful for rust and patina, but very thin hollow grind. Mine's like 10-12 thousandths behind the edge. Fantastic slicer. The ergos are really good. Now, it originally came with like the peel ply carbon fiber scales. I don't like those. Got it replaced with the micarta scales. I think these are from RC Blade Works. And I also knocked this down because originally it comes very hard to unlock. So I did cut this back right here for better access to the lock bar. I think I might have showed it in my review. Very smooth. The detent is very weak though. So the action isn't incredible because of that detent, but I still love it, man. I just love how good of a knife it is. I could see this being redone in a better way with a stronger detent, better action and everything. But if you're a slow roller, if you don't mind taking your knife out and just slow rolling it and using it and folding it back up, putting it in your pocket, this is one of the best. Deep carry aftermarket clip. Fantastic knife. Next, quiet carry WAYPOINT. Now this thing is completely corrosion proof. We have Van X super clean steel, which is an amazing super steel. It's very expensive steel. We don't see it very often, hardly ever at all. Titanium with LC200 and aligners. So it's, you know, basically completely rust proof. Nice and slim. Beautiful clip point. Yeah, I guess clip point. Some people would call it a drop point. Call it what you want. Hollow ground blade, very thin blade stock. I think it's 90 thousandths, and then behind the edge it was like 10 thousandths. So very, very thin, very slim. Great thumb stud action. It's pretty smooth on the washers. These are not cheap though, but man, they're pretty awesome. I do like it. Next, let's pull out a couple more Medfords. Oh, we got the big daddy. This is the Medford USMC Fighter Flipper or Fighter Folder S35VN drop point hollow ground blade. It does get down pretty thin for how robust this knife is, because this thing's a beast. I mean, you should wear gloves using this knife. This knife is definitely a brick in your hand, and it is for hard use, heavy duty stuff. You can flip it. It does take a little time to break in, but once it does get pretty smooth. I can reverse flick it. The lock bar is incredibly strong on it. PVD coating on the blade to help from corrosion. And this is supposed to be like a folding K-bar, because they do have their version of the fixed blade K-bar, but it's called the USMC Fighter fixed blade. But yeah, awesome knife. Let's show another one. We have the little Medford ERIS. This thing it's a little chunker, you know, very similar, kind of like how I was talking about the Chubby. This thing's a little chubby too, but it does have a CPM D2 blade with a hollow ground drop point blade. Very, very smooth. Very nice action too. You hear that? Love the sound of this thing. Very, very awesome sound. We have the flame anodized titanium scales. Glassy smooth. Once Medfords break in, they do get ridiculously smooth. It just takes a little while. Next, we have, this is the Vapor S35VN blade steel. Titanium with a carbon fiber inlay with titanium hardware. These were originally pretty expensive. I think you can get them now because they have been out for a while for like $160 or something like that, but they were originally $250. Now, this hole was not made to reverse flick from, so it is not easy. Ours has just broken in, but when we first got it, it was impossible to use this hole. It's just such a strong detent, but awesome little knife. It is a small knife. This was the first expensive knife I ever got for Kara, and it is a very thin stone washed drop point blade. You can almost call it a spear point. Very, very slicey, nice and comfortable in the hand, great action. And it has like a ceramic coating over the titanium, so it's very, very durable, very slick, but it's very nice. Next, the CIVIVI, here, I might as well pull this one up too. The CIVIVI Elementum. We have the regular Elementum here with the liner lock flipper. This one's in D2, the Neves Knives knife. And then we have the button lock Elementum, which is bigger. You can see the size difference here. Now, I really like this knife. It is a very thin, hollow ground spear point blade, drop point blade, whatever you want to call it. I call it a spear point. Beautiful sharpening choil. The ergos are very neutral. My kind of knife. I really like this knife. I do wish it had another form of deployment besides just the button, because you can just push the button and swing it out. But it's still fun. It's still pretty cool. Flick of the wrist. You can push the button and flick it and then let go of the button to lock it in place. But when it's closed, it is locked. You have to push that button to open it up. 14C 28N blade steel. CIVIVI does a fantastic job with it. I did do a cut test on this, the 14C 28N from CIVIVI, actually on an Elementum button lock. So awesome, awesome knife. Now they have many versions of this one. They have lots, well, they have different micarta versions of the button lock, but they have G10, micarta, S35VN, D2. They even have aftermarket titanium scales now for these. So lots of different versions of the Elementum. Next, CIVIVI pintail. Extremely thin behind the edge. This one is in their Damascus, which they use a powdered Damascus, which is like a powdered 9CR. It's very similar to Damasteel in the way it's made, and it is very, very good. The action on the pintail is so good. Well tuned detent for the flipper tab or the thumb stud, or the flipper tab or the thumb stud. Deep carry clip, there are many different options for this too. You can get this in S35VN and micarta or wood. Great knife, man. This is a very, I think this almost beats the Elementum. So next we have the Kershaw LEEK. I love this knife. We have a Wharncliffe blade, very kind of similar to the Hadros. Wharncliffe hollow ground 14C 28N blade steel. I've done so much work with this knife. This knife has taken a beating. USA made, Ken Onion design. It does not have the spring anymore, but it originally is assisted, where when you push this, it just, the spring takes over and it flips out. I didn't care, so my spring is gone. The thumb studs are the stop pin. But awesome knife. Very thin, slim, and sleek. You can move this pocket clip all different directions, or at least from tip down to tip up. Really good knife, though. Like this one. Next, the mstealth by Kizer. The Kizer mstealth. Fantastic front flipper. Very easy to front flip this knife. And it has a very deep, tall hollow grind. It's almost a full hollow, but very thin behind the edge. It is a great cutter, and you can get up nice and close to the blade. This is very slim back here, but it's just a great knife. S35VN titanium frame lock. The clip is a little problematic because it does land right where it does, but it still works okay. Now, I found that I can reverse flick this knife extremely easily. I mean, it's so easy for me to reverse flick this knife. I like it. The mstealth by Kizer. SEBENZA 21. Everybody knows this knife, and it is a great one, man. I really like this knife. I think everybody, well, most people love the SEBENZA. That hence the word SEBENZA smooth. Mine is probably the smoothest one in existence. It is stupid smooth. I love this knife. I did replace the thumb stud. S35VN satin hollow ground drop point blade. Titanium frame lock with the wood inlays that are just gorgeous. We have the two-tone finish with the polished and the aluminum blasted titanium. What a great knife. Love this knife. The thumb stud, replacing the thumb studs, man, it just makes this knife so much better. I love it. Love it. The sencut actium. My favorite sencut knife so far. The ergos are just amazing. It is a drop point. I guess you could call it a harpoon blade, but it's a drop point blade with a very thin hollow ground blade. It is in D2, but CIVIVI does such a great job with the D2. Sencut is CIVIVI's budget line, and they do a fantastic job with their D2. So I have no complaints with their D2. This thing sharpened up so good. Fantastic action. The placement of the thumb studs is so perfect. It's crazy how good this thumb stud action is. And the flipper also very, very well tuned detent. So for them to get both the actions so good, it's incredible. Nice T8 hardware, deep carry clip, fantastic knife. Sencut actium. Next, we have the Quest Custom Gent. Now, this is a custom, more like a mid-tech. So, you know what? It might be a full custom. I'm not 100% on that, but Quest Custom, they used to make batches and sell them. Now I think you have to get them one by one, so you have to talk to them and order knives through them. This is the Wharncliffe Gent, more like a sheep's foot in my opinion, but it is a nice thin hollow ground blade, titanium with a carbon fiber inlay. You can see their logo right there for Quest Customs. Awesome, awesome action. Though you cannot reverse flick it, but I can thumb flick it. It's not easy, but I can do it. But the flipper tab works great. S35 VN blade steel, and you know, depending on what you pick, you can get different colors and different setups and everything else. Next, the kitefin. Very, very deep, thin, hollow ground drop point blade, titanium. There are multiple different versions of this knife. Mine, or this one, I think they're all in S35 VN, at least I believe, but the titanium, you can get different finishes, different colors, different patterns. This one's just a flat black titanium with titanium bronzed hardware. Great flipping action. It is a very thin, compact knife. Ceramic bearings. Very, very smooth action. Deep carry titanium pocket clip. Then this one has the bronzed holes in there. Very, very nice knife. Next, the CIVIVI Picaro. I love this knife so much. It is a big knife. A lot of people, this would probably be too big for them. It is a 9-inch knife. Very thin, hollow ground blade. Even the blade is nice and thin, especially for a 4-inch blade. Nice, beautiful sharpening choil or finger choil. The action is really good. It is on washers though. You can reverse flick it, or you can use the thumb studs for the thumb flick, so you can kind of choose what kind of action you want. It is a liner lock, steel liner lock, which is easy to get to. It does break in and get very, very smooth over time on its washers. Nice T8 hardware, G10 scales, deep carry clip. This thing, it's just such a good slicer and user. It is in D2, and like I was saying, CIVIVI does an incredible job with their D2. So it takes such a sharp edge, and then it's very thin. And since you have such good ergos, it cuts so incredibly well. Just such a great user. And then last but not least, got to get the review done on this one. This is the Kizer Dukes, and it has almost a full hollow ground blade. Just this little swedge up top, nice and thin behind the edge. And yeah, it does have a slight recurve right here, not much. N690 steel. Mine is not the smoothest on the drop. Everybody else's, I noticed, or people have sent me videos showing that theirs is much smoother than mine. I can slap it shut, but it is on bearings though. Mine's just a little tighter. I need to take it apart and check it out a little bit. But liner lock, they do have different versions of the G10, N690 steel, and yeah, fantastic knife. I really do like this one. The action on it is incredible. One of the best flippers from a budget knife that I've felt. It's just, the detent is so well tuned. It flies out like it's an assisted knife. All right, guys, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.